This story is titled, I Found Out My Fiancé Has Been Telling His Friends He Isn't Sure About Marrying Me. I never expected to overhear the conversation that would shatter my world. My name is Rachel, and I'm 42 years old. I live in a quiet town in Pennsylvania, where life had always been simple, predictable. Until now. For the past 3 years, I've been in a relationship with a man I truly believed was the one. His name is David, and he's 45. We met at a mutual friend's dinner party, bonded over our shared love for hiking, and before I knew it, we were inseparable. He made me laugh, made me feel safe, made me believe in love again after my divorce. And when he proposed last year, I thought I had finally found my forever. We were planning our wedding, choosing venues, discussing guest lists, talking about our future. Or at least, I thought we were. Until last weekend. Last weekend, I learned the awful truth. It started out like any other Saturday. David was having a few of his friends over for drinks, just a casual get-together. I stayed in the kitchen, preparing snacks, while the guys sat in the living room, laughing and talking. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I wasn't even paying attention. Until I heard my name. And what I heard made my blood run cold. Man, I don't know if I'm ready for this, David said, his voice low but clear. I froze, my hands tightening around the dish I was holding. Another voice, his friend Mark, spoke up. What do you mean? You're getting married in a few months. David let out a sigh. Yeah, but sometimes I wonder if it's the right thing. The dish nearly slipped from my fingers. I pressed my back against the wall, my heart hammering. Mark chuckled. Dude, that's just cold feet. Everyone gets them before a wedding. But David didn't laugh. It's not just that. I mean, Rachel's great. She really is. But there are times I think about whether this is what I really want. A pit formed in my stomach. Mark sounded confused. Then why'd you propose? David exhaled. Because it felt right at the time. She's amazing, and I didn't want to lose her. But now, with everything feeling so final, I just keep wondering if I'm making a mistake. My whole body went numb. A mistake. That's what he called our engagement. A mistake. I didn't hear the rest of the conversation. I couldn't. I felt like I was going to be sick. I backed out of the kitchen, went upstairs, and locked myself in our bedroom, trying to breathe, trying to make sense of what I had just heard. Was he serious? Had he been doubting us this whole time? And if he wasn't sure, why didn't he tell me? I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my engagement ring. The ring I had once admired so much. The ring that now felt like a lie. By the time the guys left, my mind was racing. I knew I had two choices. Pretend I didn't hear anything and go on as if nothing had changed, or confront him. I chose the latter. David walked into the bedroom, loosening his shirt collar, completely unaware that my entire world had just crumbled. I took a deep breath. David. He looked up, startled by the sharpness in my voice. Yeah? I stood. I heard what you said. His brows furrowed. What are you talking about? I swallowed the lump in my throat. I heard you talking to Mark, about how you're not sure about marrying me. His face paled. He opened his mouth, then shut it again, like he didn't know what to say. I crossed my arms. Is that true? He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling. Rachel, I took a step forward, my voice shaking. Yes or no, David? Are you unsure about marrying me? He hesitated, just for a moment, but that moment was all I needed. My stomach twisted. Oh my God! Rachel, please, he said quickly. It's not what you think. I let out a bitter laugh. It's exactly what I think. You don't want to marry me, do you? He looked at me, his eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place. Guilt? Regret? But it didn't matter anymore, because I already knew the answer. I stared at him, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might shatter right there in my chest. He didn't have to say it. His silence was the only answer I needed. I felt a lump forming in my throat, but I swallowed it down. I refused to cry. Not now. Not in front of him. Rachel, he started, but I cut him off. No, I said, my voice sharper than I expected. You don't get to explain this away, David. You don't get to act like this is nothing. His jaw tightened. It's not nothing. Then what is it? I demanded, my voice breaking slightly. Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you've been lying to me. To everyone. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I wasn't lying, I scoffed. Really? So when you got down on one knee and asked me to marry you, that was real? Because from what I just heard, it sure doesn't sound like it. He took a step closer. Rachel, I love you. I do, but marriage is a huge step, and He hesitated. I just started feeling trapped. Trapped. The word cut through me like a blade. I felt my stomach drop, and for the first time that night, I had nothing to say. David sighed, rubbing his face. I never meant to hurt you. I thought if I gave it time, these doubts would go away. I stared at him, my hands shaking. And have they? Silence. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I let out a humorless laugh. You know what's funny, David? I would have understood. If you had told me, if you had come to me and said, hey, I'm scared, I'm unsure, we could have talked about it. Together. He looked down. But instead, I continued, my voice cold, I had to find out like this. I had to hear you tell your friends, not me, because I guess I was the last person who deserved the truth. Rachel, please. No. I shook my head, stepping back. I deserve better than this. I deserve better than you. His eyes widened slightly, as if he hadn't expected me to say it. But I wasn't done. I reached for my engagement ring, twisting it off my finger. My hands trembled as I held it up between us. I don't want to be with someone who sees me as a mistake, I whispered. So here. I placed the ring on the dresser, my fingers lingering on the cool metal for just a moment. You don't have to feel trapped anymore. David looked at the ring, then at me, his mouth slightly open, but no words came out. Good, because there was nothing left to say. I turned, grabbing my purse and my coat, my heart pounding. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to wait for him to change his mind. Because love should never feel like something someone has to convince themselves of. And I refused to spend the rest of my life wondering if I was truly wanted. So I walked out that door, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. If this story resonated with you, like, comment, and subscribe. Have you ever found out something about your partner that changed everything? Let's talk about it in the comments.